we are more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. That's something that I talk about in my blog post that I'm writing right now. And it's inspired by a visit I recently had to a physical rehab clinic. Now, for those who don't know my story, back in 2014, I tripped on a brick. I twisted my ankle, got a torn ligament, and a bone got on the loose. Attached to it were tendons who were going through that ligament. And, well, after that, I could only stand on one foot and a few toes. Since I'm hypermobile, it means that any joint can sort of dislocate at any time. So my ligaments, they are not the best quality. And the thing is that oftentimes tendons seem to tear at some point, sometimes muscles do. And I never know what to expect. Every time I'm like, yes, I'm good to go, then something happens. And for that reason, I decided to go to that rehab clinic to see if they had some experts who could help me out. Now, this is basically what happened. I went in there and he said, "Oh, you've been here before." And I said, "No, I haven't." "Yes, you have." And then they said the name of the doctor. And I was thinking about it and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember her." And I can tell you, those were not good memories. Absolutely not. So I said, "Oh, yeah, I remember her." I said, "But it wasn't here, that was at the hospital." "Oh, well, yeah, could be. Probably before her time." And then I added, "But she was wrong about what she said. I was right. And, well, if it had been up to her, I still wouldn't have been able to walk. And now I can. Okay, it's not that wonderful, but I can walk, right? I can stand on 2 feet. And every day, again and again, I'm so grateful." So her records dated till 2017, early 2017. And, well, a few months ago, I had almost the exact same talk with the specialist who is, well, specialized in EDS. And his records were exactly till the beginning of 2017. And I said to him, "Oh, that's not correct because I've been to this, that, and the other clinics." So apparently he had ignored all of that. As a matter of fact, my GP, my family doctor, sent a letter to him. He ignored that too. So when I came to the physical rehab clinic, they didn't know. Now, back in that day, I was so frustrated. I was like, why is no one listening to me? Why do they keep telling me, can't be done, can't be done, can't be done? And I remember going to the rehab clinic, well, actually not to the clinic, but to the hospital, talking to that doctor. And she wanted me to go to that clinic for like 12 weeks. And I was like, how's this going to work out? This is not going to work out. But she was convinced that I needed to learn how to deal with the pain. So I said to the doctor that I was talking to, she was still in training. I said, I needed another surgery. I got the other surgery end of 2018. But if things had sped up a little bit, starting as early as 2014, I wouldn't be in this situation now. And as calm as I am now, that wasn't what was happening when I was over there. Over there, I was literally slouching down, like And I was so upset. And at some point I apologized and I said, I'm sorry, this is not you, but this is literally being traumatized by the medical staff. But I felt sorry for her, and even more so, I didn't feel happy with the way I was talking. I was like, no, this isn't me. But the frustration was there. I was literally instantly back there at that moment again. I was like, no, this cannot be true. So she kept asking on all the questions I didn't want to answer. But then the pièce de résistance was the moment that she asked me, so you can walk for like an hour now? And I looked at her, and there was some sort of hysterical laugh on my end. Like, really? And I said, well, I could walk from the car to here. So basically it was from the car, the handicapped parking spot, to the door, and then a few meters to her room. I said, that's it. I said, I am on crutches, and today I didn't use crutches because I was holding this one. I said, but no, I can't. I cannot remember that I was able to even walk for an hour. Oh. So no, didn't sit well with me. Not at all. But here's the thing. At some point she went out of the room, and I was doing everything I could to get back to normal again. Started writing, and I was aware that I was in the mood. It wasn't good. And I was like, I need to change this. So when she got back in the room, this time with the senior doctor, I said to her, I'm going to apologize once more because you don't deserve this. And then she said, well, I understand, that you're traumatized by all the doctors. So I said, yes, that's the way it is. And then something happened. The senior doctor started to ask me some questions. Well, actually, they had me do some exercises. They were measuring up how flexible I was. And I said, well, I'm not fully relaxed right now. My muscles aren't fully relaxed. I have a sheet. It's an overview from the physical therapist. If you want to use that, then you can. But at some point, we sat down and he asked me this question. He said, do you think you are an underperformer or an overperformer? And I had to think about that. And at that moment, I was turning inward. So talking to her, I was basically blocked. I was like so frustrated that, I was totally closed off. But the moment that he asked that question, it was like instantly that switch, and there was a vulnerability. And I was like, oh, this is possible too. And instant relaxation. And up till this day, I'm still surprised how quickly that happened. But yes, the introspective, that changed a lot. It was a good question. And I answered it with, I feel like I'm underperforming, but I know I'm not. I cannot do more at the moment than I'm doing right now, because walking with crutches takes its toll on my shoulders and my wrists. I said, I instantly go forward instead of backwards. I can tell, the physical therapist can tell too. He kept that in mind. And later on, when I said, hopefully in a few weeks, it'll be okay again. And I can do everything the way it was and move forward. And that's my way of looking at things. Like, okay, it hurts, it sucks, and at some point it will be okay. I mean, I'm in pain every day, and that sounds more terrible than it is, because I'm fortunate enough to actually forget it. So the moment that I feel pain, that's a warning signal from the body. Then I know, oh, I have to readjust something. Maybe put a pillow under my knees or on my legs. I need to do something to change my posture, and then likely the pain will either be diminished or totally gone. So I was like, hopefully in a few weeks I'll be good to go again. And then he said something. Yeah, but your shoulders and wrists, they will be affected by it. I was like, yeah, that's true. So he asked me what I wanted when it came to support. So the things that I wanted, actually, they couldn't provide. But he was talking about a special kind of physical therapist. And thinking about it, I'm like, I think I already had one of those. And he taught me to watch my boundaries. He actually, talking to him, a lot of changes were made. And the goal is, and that's basically what I said, because what I asked was, what is going to happen next? What can I expect? And, well, basically what he said is, oh, maybe this physical therapist can help you to prevent you to get to that spot where things are not good. And the thing is, I never know. And I cannot not do things. I need to try. And sometimes that works out, and sometimes it works against me. So usually I know my limits, I know my boundaries, but it's sometimes when you try something new, that's when things go haywire. And, well, been there, done that, do not want to do it again. So this is live, so I need to do a little something. There we go. Been there, done that, got the shirt, don't want it anymore. But yes, what struck me most were a number of things that we discussed. So she was so surprised when she realized that I go just about every year to the US on my own. She was like, you're living a full life. Well, yes, I am. Of course, I need to sleep more than most people. That's the way it is. But, I can manage. And at the same time, I help people out. You don't see any perspective, because I know what it's like not to be heard, right? But here's the thing, and I want you to think about this. What have you experienced in your life which is still holding you back? And what kind of conversations have you had in the past, or maybe upcoming, where you are like, oh, I'm going to be so livid when I'm going to talk about this? And here's the thing, I went in there with an open mind. It was just that instant that I got thrown back in time that got the better of me. But still, I was like, this is not going to work. She is not to blame for this. And so I dialed myself back in, as in, I need to change my attitude. I really need to change my attitude and do better. And I did. And that felt good. So, hence that question, how about you? Have you been in a situation where you let circumstances get the better of you? Or are you capable of saying, let's keep this constructive. I'm not happy maybe with what's happening, but let's do it in a way that feels good for all of us. And I have to say that when I walked out, it was a little weird because they had me overstretch my knees too. And the result was that by the time that I walked out, my knees kept moving backwards. And well, you can't walk when your knee is in the wrong direction. So I had to recalibrate literally. And I said to the receptionist, I said, that doctor, the senior doctor, I said, he's amazing. I said, he calmed me down in an instant. And I want you to think about that. Like, how quickly are you likely to give up? And please note, I know there are situations which are far worse than the situation that I am in. But it doesn't mean that it always has to... Well, I have setbacks, sure, but I don't let it stop me from freedom. And of course, freedom is different for everyone. I mean, an hour walking, really? Don't know what it is. But yes, the mere fact that I can stand on 2 feet, that I can ride my bike again, maybe not all the way to the beach, but I still can ride my bike. Those are wins, huge wins. So how do you look at the future? How do you look at setbacks? But more importantly, and I believe that this is what the topic is about, how do you deal with yourself? Do you let circumstances change your mindset, the way you feel? Or are you capable of shifting back to the person that you do want to be? Even if only because you want to have a constructive conversation, but maybe also because it makes you feel better. Well, I can tell you, there has been a lot of anger in the past and grumpiness in the past, especially when I couldn't stand on 2 feet. And I'm happy to say that has changed, that has totally shifted. And I want you to think about that too. What has shifted for you? Now, hopefully later today, the blog post will be done. Then you can find it at ladylexi.com/blog. And well, if you would like to work with me because you have heard something, then, send me a DM, hit me up. And just maybe we can also talk about what's been bugging you. Anything is possible. So, for now, remember to keep going. You can do it. So let's go do it.